Welcome to another ShopperTech webinar, a service of the Shopper Technology Institute. I'm your host, John Karolewski. Thank you for joining us. Today we'll be debunking some common myths in the consumer packaged goods industry with regards to trade promotion management, mobility, and the cloud. Consider the following. Deductions are simply the cost of doing business with retailers and are not a controllable expense. Cloud computing poses substantial security risks to businesses. The cloud is difficult to integrate with existing applications and systems. True or false? Fact or fiction? Joining me to set the record straight is Joel Cartwright, Trade Promotion Management Solution Engineer with AFS Technologies. Now, this webinar is interactive. If you have questions, type them in the box in the lower left of your screen. We'll answer them along the way as time allows. And finally, at the end of the program, please take a brief survey. Your input will help us produce better webinars in the future. So without further ado, here is Joel Cartwright.
Thanks, John. Appreciate everybody attending today's call. Just a little background on myself. I've been in consumer packaged goods for a little over 20 years for companies like Sara Lee, Sunday Delight, and Kimberly-Clark, and specifically in the TPM space. Currently the solution engineer for AFS Technologies, showing new prospective clients on how our solutions can meet their needs. So as John mentioned today, today's Mythbuster Day. So we're going to disperse any myths regarding trade promotion management. So no myth is safe here. We're going to attack them all as John outlined before. So let's first start off by the mobile retail execution. So those handheld devices in the stores that the retail execution teams are working with and part of that action item. So what we're hearing is it's only as good for managing the out of stocks. So that's the myth of what we're hearing. In addition, it's not a good ROI. It helps productivity and nothing else, only really on the supply chain side. Additional myths we're hearing is technology is not up to the challenge to provide useful business data or influence decisions. So here are the facts. What the retail execution we find, it provides pricing compliance data. Am I getting the price point that I paid for? I went out and met with my retailer. I paid for a specific price point. I should be getting it. When my promotion comes back and it doesn't perform well, the first thing we look at is execution data. Did I get the price point that I paid for? Which typically explains a lot of problems during post-promotion analysis. The second fact is that in-store execution of display activity and end cap or aisle. Again, similar to price point. Did I get my compliance for my display activity? Did I get my end cap? Did I get the merchandising down the aisle? Retail execution can provide that understanding. The final fact is retailer-to-retailer comparative for placement at shelf. So let's take a look at this a little bit closer. When I'm looking at my retailers in my planogram, I can analyze the retail execution data to see where my product was placed at shelf. A key driver from a planogram perspective, I understand visually where the customer sees my product. I can see where my best product placement is based upon the success of my promotional activity, factoring out the price point in the display activity. And comparing that to retailers where I didn't get the placement at shelf or adherence in the planogram. So 3 key facts regarding retail execution when it's aligned to my promotional strategy can help analyze and prove out promotion performance. Some additional facts, the final is you can see your plan in the store, understanding what plan in the retail execution is working and what is not. So encompassing price point, display activity, end cap, placement at shelf, combining all those together, understanding my plan at store, comparing them to retail, comparing to my overall plan. I can understand what's working. Again, the key aspect is let's take retail execution and align it with our promotional strategy. So, let's get on to myth number 2.
Yeah, Joel,
TPM.
I have a question that came in. Joel, I have a question that came
Sure.
in about mobile retail execution. And it is, what is the benefit of aligning retail execution to trade promotion analysis?
When you are aligning the retail execution to the trade analysis, you get a true understanding of your plan at shelf. You're no longer waiting for the Nielsen data to tell you and then inundate it with the category share. You're getting a true understanding from the retailer. I paid for a front-end cap. 97% of the retail stores executed that, or 57% of the stores executed that. That one data point, by combining retail execution and promotion management, tells me that A, my retailer did not adhere to my plan and I paid for something I didn't get. B, my promotional activity, my promotion was not successful, showing incremental volume for that point alone. Okay?
Okay.
Great question. That's a really good question. And I think folks, and just to kind of put a bow on it, I think folks are in this space are starting to take a closer look at the combination of TPM and retail execution together, as well as the analytics from an optimization standpoint, and no longer encompassing both the Nielsen data but the retail execution data as well. So myth number 2, TPM deduction management. Been in this business a long time, and the first thing I learned is that nobody pays what they're billed. And the myth is that deductions are a cost of doing business. That's what we hear. The second big myth, retailers don't auto-deduct from me. All of those of you who believe that, you better stand on your head. Post-automates are legitimate. When I get that letter from that company saying that I owe them money, I immediately pay those dollars. Because if it comes in the mail and it's got official-looking letterhead on it, it's got to be real. And then finally, Excel spreadsheets. That's all I need to manage my business. My business is not that big, so I don't have to have a fancy TPM solution to manage my deduction. And those are the myths we hear. The facts are, it costs retailers and manufacturers money to manage the deduction process. And every company I've been with, I've had to do a cost analysis, what it costs to manage one deduction. Not necessarily a high dollar amount, but manage and close one individual deduction. So I'm paying one person all day long to manage deductions. And the number's pretty staggering, what you think, in the cost of overhead and time it takes to manage that deduction. A TPM system can streamline and reduce these settlements. What our customers find when we see on TPM solutions, they're able to refine the business process. They're able to anticipate deduction liability, so that way they can arrange for the deduction management workflow. They're able to streamline the promotion execution and deployment process and move more promotional activity away from the deduction piece and more to bill back into off invoice. As I mentioned before, it only costs manufacturers money to manage the deduction, but it costs retailers as well. Moreover, with a TPM system in place, you send a message to retailers, hey, we're watching this very closely, so don't take advantage of us. Manufacturers can validate and invalidate post-audits. With a solution in TPM, you can manage and house all the historical deduction information, backup documentation, how it aligns to performance of a particular promotion. By keeping all that information in one place, in a stored warehouse of data, you're able to review a post-audit claim, go back to the original deduction transaction from 18 months ago, compare it to the promotional activity and the volume all in one place without a monumental amount of work to do so. When you have the information available to say, no, you received this on this bill back, or you received the deduction on this check, it gives little room for the audit companies as well as the retailers to accept that. Post audits typically, too, are the biggest dollar amount from low-hanging fruit when first implementing a TPM solution. And finally, with the myth, Excel spreadsheets are only as good as the data input. Essentially, Excel spreadsheets, you have somebody who has to manage them. Nothing is automatic. That person goes on vacation, it doesn't get done. Excel spreadsheets can be deleted, lost, filed incorrectly, an incorrect amount that's been input. As companies grow, the complexity of their business grows, the product structure grows, the accounting structure from a ledger perspective grows. Excel is not dynamic enough to manage that type of interaction. So the big myths surrounding trade promotion management. My promotion go-to-market strategy is unique, requiring an expensive custom application to manage my trade budget. I hear that a lot when I present to new customers. Typically the first thing out of their mouth is, my go-to-market strategy is unique, so I'm going to have something custom. 99.9% of the time, I've heard it before. You have a go-to-market strategy. You buy down price, you pay for ads, you pay for feature and displays, you analyze your business in a certain way. You pay for your trade business, either deduction, check, bill back, or credit memo. So it's typically all the same way, and not necessarily needing a custom application. Additionally, retailers can't commit to a plan, so my tactics are constantly changing. So that's another myth. My retailers, they can't commit to a plan, so I'm having to change my tactics all the time. A TPM solution wouldn't allow me to do that. Another myth I hear a lot is my business crosses over many channels. Plan activity can't be contained in one solution. It crosses many channels. It crosses many countries, different markets, and so forth, where each market seems to be unique to that area. The facts. Out-of-the-box TPM solutions are very, very configurable to most go-to-market strategies. What they also do is, with a proven out-of-the-box solution, a solution that's been developed over many years by multiple different users of a shared solution, it can provide an ability to rethink your strategy. Hey, the TPM solution does it this way. I've been doing it this way for a long time. Maybe that's the better way. So it allows you to rethink that strategy. Additional facts are that TPM solutions are designed to adapt to plan changes while maintaining plan integrity. Yes, customers change tactics. My Q1 events weren't as successful, so I need to adjust my plan in Q2 and be less aggressive on pricing, more aggressive on feature. Or there's a major incident where I've had to adjust my planogram. TPM solutions are designed to adapt to that. Moreover, to allow for control of changes to spending without interrupting the planned execution and deployment, thus creating deductions or other headaches down the road. So solutions are designed to adapt to those changes because they're designed to analyze for a manufacturer to understand where are my risks and gaps to a plan. And not only looking at the plan about by a quarter, but out for 6 months. It's now January. I need to adjust my plan now to close out my year. And finally, TPM solutions are designed to manage a trade plan hierarchies in the solution and define the channel. So what that means is trade solutions are designed to manage multiple channels, club, mass merch, U.S. grocery, to cross different countries and aggregate up currencies to an overall reporting currency. Designed to be interactive at a user level, so be multilingual. So if I'm running the Mexico business, I'm a user in Mexico, my sign-on ID would be in Spanish, and therefore the application would be in Spanish. So defined by the end user, defined by the channel. A configurable TPM solution would have this capability. And it would allow you to manage a trade plan utilizing these type of hierarchies cross-channel and cross-countries.
Before the cloud, Joel, another question has come in.
Yeah.
Should solutions be capable of allowing for mid-year plan adjustments?
Absolutely. Let's face it, the best laid plans are always laid to waste because you have to be reactionary to the changes in the marketplace. Manufacturers, not only retailers, have changes to their plan. As I mentioned before, an initial promotion was not successful, or it was underemphasized as far as the incremental volume that it would bring. Or the analysis proved that it was not effective. Or, moreover, we ran this really effective promotional strategy and we want to run it again. So, yes, solutions are designed to manage changes to the plan, to call out risks and gaps, and help save a plan so it can align to the S&OP. Good question. So let's talk about cloud computing. We're living in the cloud world. The CPG industry and trade promotion management as well is moving to this cloud set. Some of the myths I hear are my sensitive data is not secure outside my firewall. I don't want it flowing out in the clouds. So therefore, I don't want to go to a cloud solution. Typically, I hear on calls, you're not able to integrate to an existing legacy application. I hear this a lot. I have an accounting system that was built 10 years ago specifically, or 20 years ago, specifically to my business. You're not going to be able to integrate to this existing application. My data servers are sufficient and fast. I don't want to go out into the clouds because my current servers have the capacity to bring back the data needed by my users of the solution. So my data servers are completely reliable and I don't need to pay for cloud computing. And the final myth is my brand and my business is booming. So cloud computing is not really scalable. They're not able to meet the needs because it's got to travel so far. And these are the myths I hear. But the facts are is that data security compliance is very rigid. Data is encrypted and it's in a secure database server with disaster recovery plans. When evaluating a TPM solution, the primary concern you would have is disaster recovery plan, service level agreements that a provider can bring to the table, and understanding what the encryption logic is for passing data back and forth. A SaaS-proven, out-of-the-box TPM provider should be able to provide a data security form showing compliance. Completely scalable, and they grow without hardware costs. I always like to get that question. It's not scalable to cloud, but if it's a lot more cost-effective for someone else to add the hardware than it is for me. They have the expertise to do it. So typically, SaaS-based providers utilize third-party data servers, and all they do all day long is want to understand what's my capacity, how can I make it faster, how can I hold more data. So they're completely scalable and can grow without additional hardware costs to someone who would self-host a solution or database. Web services and data exchanges provide multiple data sources. And this is one of the key areas to which specifically consumer packaged goods seems to be going. Web service technologies provide the ability to bring in multiple data sources. We're seeing already the direction of the industry going for combining shipment data and consumption data together to understand the optimization piece. But what I'm also seeing is pulling in additional data sources around demand planning, third-party indirect volume data, additional warehouse management data into a central repository to see how each interacts with each other, to squeeze every dollar out of the TPM, every square inch out of the warehouse space, optimize my inventory so I'm not sitting on a lot of stuff, causing my costs to go up. So web service solutions provide data exchanges which allow multiple inputs of data sources, as well as the end user the ability to configure how they want the solution data to look. But moreover, they're providing a beginning template to show a manufacturer what it could look like. And finally, a little ahead of myself there, sorry about that. Finally, on the facts from the cloud server technology, let's face it, it's cost effective. As I mentioned, there are companies out there, Rackspace to give them a plug. All they do all day long is manage data, finding out what the most cost-effective way is to manage and house that data and provide quick system speed back to their subscribers. They're always looking for the latest technology to increase system speed. Again, they're focused. How much data and how fast can I get it to them? So these are facts about cloud computing. Very cost-effective, very secure, and as I begin seeing, as more and more customers I see in this space, the more am I seeing traditional solutions, i.e. ERP system, moving from behind the firewall on a desktop out to cloud computing. ERP cloud computing, behind the firewall. I think that's probably a CIO's worst fear, but it's happening. It's happening more and more because, again, it's cost effective. So we've looked at some pretty good myths here today. We've also been able to debunk those myths pretty well with clear and concise facts related to specific areas within CPG. The key factor is that retail execution, as I mentioned, is an enhancement to trade analytics, moreover, and promotion validation to its execution. Meaning, when I create the trade plan, not only am I going to see the deliverable from a volume standpoint, by encompassing the retail execution data, I can get a true understanding of what my promotional activity is doing. By combining the shelf movement, and shelf placement together, a true promotion performance analysis. Deduction management. Settlement processing is more than matching spend to a liability. By streamlining the deduction management process by utilizing a TPM solution, you allow deduction analysts, the accounting group, to get to root cause analytics. You're no longer just reconciling a spend deduction against a promoted liability. I have now freed up enough time to say, okay, I have this $15,000 deduction for damages. I'm seeing a trend at this trucking company. I need to get this in front of product supply because we definitely have an issue. I can also reclass expense and get to root cause and reclass the expense to the supply chain so they can help with their budget for next year, address a specific issue with other areas. Moreover, as well, gets to an inventory planning standpoint. So I'm now involving different areas of the application in the organization. Trade promotion management. It's all about managing the plan. Managing the plan and understanding one plan in one place. What do I have scheduled to do at a particular customer? Can I make changes to that plan? Can I identify risk and gaps to that? Yes, a TPM solution out of the box will be able to do that for you. Typically in the first year to 2 years, there's tremendous amount of savings on just the low-hanging fruit alone. And finally, cloud computing. It's secure, it's fast, and it's cost-effective. The onus of the hardware is on the service provider. It's secure because compliance mandates that security. It's fast. Fast not only for the end user, but fast implementation. Typically, the connections to cloud-based computing can be done in short periods of time, providing a quick return on investment rather than having to wait for new server hardware to be input, applications to be downloaded on desktop, and training and so forth. So cloud computing, secure, fast, and cost-effective, not only from a hardware standpoint, but a cost-saving standpoint from a return on investment being up and going quickly. So we have time for some additional questions.
And we have a couple here, Joel, that we didn't get to along the way. One on cloud computing. Is this the direction of everyone utilizing a TPM solution?
Yes, I'm seeing more and more customers who are going to a cloud-based, and prospective customers to a cloud-based system, again, due to the capacity issues that they're having from hardware and so forth on their side. In addition, the expertise is kind of drying up from a hardware standpoint. In IT organizations, they're moving away from hardware-based support personnel and more of a cloud-based support personnel. And as I mentioned, I'm seeing more and more traditional hosted softwares, i.e. an ERP system, are moving to more cloud-based from a cost-effective standpoint. As the internet gets quicker, as the data gets more and more secure and viable.
Okay, just a reminder to our audience, you can ask questions by typing them in the chat box in the lower left of your screen. And another question that came in, Joel, I guess regarding deduction management. Is the biggest impact of a solution managing post-audit deductions?
That's one of the biggest impacts. We find customers who go on our solutions, or I've seen customers go on the solution, finding large amounts of money in post-audits that they had paid, and they've gone back to the customer and says, I didn't owe you that money. Now, granted, it takes them, they're not very much successful getting that money back. But post-audits, preventing having to pay out money you didn't have to is. But moreover, I'm seeing the biggest impact on the deduction side, as I mentioned, the root cause analysis, understanding expense rather than just sweeping it under the rug, understanding the cause of it. But I'm also seeing customers utilizing the deduction piece, because there is such multiple areas, to get a true customer P&L. Because I'm managing that settlement end not only for trade but for non-trade, the spoils, the damages, and so forth. So they're utilizing that data to get a true profitability by customer.
Excellent. Another question. What about concerns around cloud with legal issues, and if someone sharing the hardware has their and thus your information seized and frozen?
Compliance issue certifications have to pass a tremendous amount of legal security. So that's typically not a non-issue. Typically when you're in a cloud-based environment, you're sharing an application, but you're not sharing an instance of that application. So meaning they're sharing an application that's used by all, but not a specific application. Now the database server that's managing the data storage is probably being shared. However, with most providers, you can request, and they'll meet the need, a separate storage warehouse for any database information. Moreover, as part of the data security requirements, a supplier for a TPM solution would not have access to the instance of the environment that you would have unless you're given written authorization.
Okay, another question. Do CRM services generally have a TPM tool incorporated, or will these have to be two different systems?
Typically, they're two different systems. A TPM solution is more of a transactional-based solution with analytics related to volume and sales. CRM solutions are typically related to the customer's activity as far as their what's been called on by a customer, well, what type of sales dynamics have taken place with this particular customer. However, a good TPM solution would provide the components to historically manage that data. So meaning if I've set up a next call or had a meeting with a buyer, I would be able to input that as a note. Or if I've got a specific activity that needs to be done in relation to that customer, that can be housed in a TPM solution. But moreover, they're typically two different solutions because, again, one is more of a transaction-based solution around trade marketing. The other is around the selling dynamics by an account manager for an individual customer.
Okay, well, that's all the questions I see right now coming in. That was terrific, Joel. You certainly debunked the myths and stated the facts and so on. Any closing thoughts before we sign off?
These are the direction that the industry is going. Cloud-based computing, understanding the retail execution as it relates to TPM. So I'm seeing more and more customers combining different areas of the software. So I think you're going to see more of the myths are going to start going away a lot sooner than we originally anticipated.
Outstanding. Thanks, Joel. For more information about the information presented in this webinar, please email Joel Cartwright at joel.cartwright@afsi.com. For more information about AFS Technologies, please visit them at www.afsi.com. And finally, we welcome visitors to the STI website at shoppertech.org. Please take a minute to complete the post-webinar survey that will appear on your screen when you log out of this webinar. Until the next time, this is John Karolewski signing off for AFS Technologies and the Shopper Technology Institute.